question is, what strategies has Angola and the Ministry of Education engaged with to try and address the challenge of ensuring that there's meaningful connectivity in the most remote, rural schooling communities in Angola? If you could tell us a bit more about that, please, Minister.
Eu estava dizendo que Angola ainda tem grandes desafios no domínio da conectividade, mas não apenas nisso. Temos dificuldades em termos de infraestruturas escolares, infraestruturas digital, e por isso o desafio ainda é grande. Nós começamos um programa Connect Angola, que começa a distribuir sinal de internet e equipamentos às escolas do ensino secundário, fundamentalmente as que estão nas grandes cidades, nas capitais. O nosso maior desafio é exatamente fazer chegar essa conectividade, os equipamentos necessários para que os estudantes, sobretudo do meio rural, possam também ter acesso e igualdade de circunstâncias na aprendizagem digital. Portanto, exige grandes investimentos, exige um trabalho bastante aturado. É verdade que é do Executivo em primeiro lugar, mas não pode excluir a participação, quer do setor privado, quer das organizações não governamentais, nacionais e internacionais, para que esse desafio seja vencido. Nós temos ainda a precariedade muito grande, particularmente no ensino primário, e por isso o desafio é bastante grande.
Thank you very much, Excellency, and I'm also aware that there have been quite a number of very exciting, innovative, low-cost connectivity solutions that have also been experimented with, certainly in Southern Africa, and that's one of the ways in which we are also going to explore how low-cost, sustainable connectivity solutions are in fact possible in remote rural areas. So thank you very much, Minister. So, Excellency Ana Ngipondoka, so I'm aware that Namibia has a very long history of innovation with digital education. In fact, it has been one of the leading countries in the region in that respect. So one of the aspects of the new National Digital Education Strategy that you are launching very soon, the exciting and inspiring aspect of that strategy and policy is that you are calling for critical digital literacies in your policy, and we just heard about it in the previous session. If you could tell us a little bit more about how you're approaching the issue of critical digital literacies in your policy.
Yes, thank you very much. To start with, it's very important to understand that Namibia is a relatively new state, a developing country. We have only been independent for 30 years now. And definitely after independence, the first thing we did, first we had an ICT policy on education, concentrating more on information, communication, and technologies, but realizing the evolvement of digital enhancement in the world, we embarked upon the review of our policy into a digital education strategy, a digital education policy. And really, with this one, we really aimed at, we looked at the skills that we want our teachers and learners to acquire in terms of developing critical high-level thinking skills in our learners, for them to develop into innovators, and producers, and also producers of content, as we learned from the previous speakers. The aspect is really to enhance and empower our students to be doers and also emerge into entrepreneurs, like the young man who was here, who was so impressive, I can't remember his name now, who is an entrepreneur. So that's the main aim, and especially the policy, definitely, that strategy is also to empower our children not to be passive learners, but for them to be contributors to their own learning, and also to be, in a way, researchers, to understand and build up a heap of knowledge for themselves. And as for our teachers, we really, through the policy, we want to equip them with digital skills, digital literacy skills, in order for them not to be, like imposers of knowledge to the learners, but facilitators of the process, so that the teachers are facilitating and the learners are becoming their own change agents in their own capacity. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Excellency, and I am aware of the emphasis of ensuring that in the whole architecture of our education system, as we are engaged in reimagining and restructuring that and recalibrating it, the whole idea of creating learners that are doers, as Minister says, who are producers of knowledge, who are innovators, and who can, in fact, be entrepreneurs. So that's very encouraging. Thank you, Minister. So, Dr. Ntoi Rabapa, Lesotho and the SADC region also has a very long history of digital education initiatives, and I distinctly remember that Lesotho was a leading country in the well-known NEPAD eSchools initiative. And in that respect, it was a showcase country. So looking back, what would be the salient lessons that we learned from Lesotho that a SADC digital education roadmap needs to take heed of, drawing on the depth of experience in the Lesotho education system?
Oh, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. And just to put some few comments on your question. I'll start by saying that with the experience of the NEPAD initiatives, we have two sentences that guide us in the experience that we had. One is learning and service delivery at the click of a button. And the other one is nothing for us in the community without us. These two statements that I'm making here is that we did have initiatives of the NEPAD, and in few schools we're able to provide digital education. Some of the challenges that we had was, in some schools, when you provide the solar systems, the equipment, it was basically for the school, which is for the teachers and the students. And in some communities, they were not well received. So what we are changing from now moving forward, what we want to do is that every digital school that we established must address a number of issues. One is for teaching students, capacity building the teachers, and also it must provide a capacity building hub for the community and the youth which are not part of the school. The same center should also provide digital education to all the schools that are around that particular area. In addition to that, it must also become a trade hub. What we are having in Lesotho, we have also the school feeding program. So this digital school must be a trading hub where all the providers of the school feeding program are able to source commodities from smallholder farmers there. So it should have capacity to become a trading hub. It must also deal with the mobile money, where the old pensioners and everybody in the community, they can do transactions at that particular center. So we are trying to move away from just being a digital school for the kids and the teachers, but much more of a community-based digital education. With this experience, I think the community will own the buildings, will own the financial and everything there. And the other challenge that we had, of course, is the access to power. In most of the schools that NEPAD was implemented was where you have electricity already. And we still have to go to areas where we don't have electricity because about 60% or 70% of the primary schools do not have access to power. So the issue of off-grid systems will have to be implemented. But I think going forward, we have to own digital education with the communities and the councillors and the member of parliament and the local chiefs and everybody. And once we are in that path, I think we will see things moving forward. And fortunately, we have signed a memorandum of understanding with UAE, and this will create a new path with the experience we have. And I think we are going to make a huge difference, because everybody in these days wants service at the click of a button, wherever he is. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. And I think the 2 points that comes out very strongly from what you're saying is the school as a hub in a community, in the community ecosystem, and being able to mobilize the community. And the second very powerful message from you is that participatory models of shared ownership and engagement is quite critical when we are trying to design a roadmap for the Southern African region. So thank you very much for that. So Minister Malala, I'm aware that in Madagascar, you've been exploring with really innovative ways to engage with digital education and food security. And also because Madagascar is vulnerable to climate change and issues of food insecurity, the nutrition and food issues is so central to the schooling strategy in your country. So if you could tell us a little bit more about that, please.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us to share our experiences and challenges on feeding school and digital school. Now I decide to bring with me this radio to show you what could be the realities in Africa, in Madagascar, in some countries, in the region, in Madagascar. We have to simplify our thinking, our vision, our strategy, our policy on the educational system. Especially for Madagascar, we are the fourth country vulnerable to climate change. Only 8% of our schools have electricity. And 70% of schools are in rural zone. Only 12% of our teachers are skilled. So how can you tell us how to use EA, how to bring in Madagascar the platform that you have shown us before? Mm-hmm. Yes, food school, a feeding school is important in Madagascar because it helps us to have food security, to keep children in classes, and it helps us to fight against starvation from time to time when water lack in the southern in Madagascar. Mm-hmm. And that's why we developed multiple mechanisms, multiple methods to bring feed school into the communities. Sometimes we work with World Food Programme to provide directly into the school rice, oil, salt, and sometimes we use cash transfer. Cash transfer. Now we increase the Ministry of National Education of Madagascar increased the budget, the public fund, from 400,000 to $3 million in 3 years, and we send this public fund to the communities. That's why they could buy what they need to feed children at school. It helped the local economy, and we try to develop also internal production with community. And they produce what they need. vegetables, rice, and we give more resources to the communities. And the solution in Madagascar is diversification. We diversify the approach, and we lead to the communitarization of educational system, and also with digital school. That's why we choose to sign an MOU with Digital School yesterday to help learners and teachers to build their capacity to learn, to transform. You know, perhaps sometimes new technology could corrupt the system of education, all systems. But it's important to use effectively and in the right way the technology. That's why we choose to use different tools like radio, like television, PDF format. We train 10,000 of teachers in use digital system on teaching. And we have the Ministry of National Education. We have our own radio antenna. And in the local rural zone in Madagascar, we want to add and to buy to another radio and to help, especially teachers in rural zone, to learn to self-train, and to build their capacity to train also. And the solution also is the diversification, diversify also tool. When you want to transform the educational system and bring EA and to align our strategy, our policy with the reality, with the context in many regions in Madagascar. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. I think the point about school feeding systems, actually also building the local economy, comes out very strongly in the Madagascan case. And also very encouraging to hear that the radio and the television, that analog technologies still matter in an AI world. And I think that comes out very strongly there too. Thank you very much. So Minister Siyakalima, I know that in Zambia, you're one of the first countries that have actually adopted an ICT competency framework for teachers to guide this very notion of building teacher capacity, teacher knowledge in technological capability, pedagogical and content knowledge. If you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for inviting us here. First of all, in Zambia, we believe that the agrarian revolution eluded us. The Industrial Revolution eluded us. This time around, technological revolution should not elude us. So, first of all, we said, first things first. We cannot introduce technological skills in schools minus a competent teacher in terms of innovation and in terms of technology. So what we did, first of all, was to capacity build our teachers themselves who will be teaching ICTs. And I think we put in colleges of education, about 3 of them, where we are building capacities. I would like to say that it's quite interesting because we have so many teachers who, first of all, they had no component of ICTs in their curriculum. So this is what we're now trying to integrate in all the colleges of education so that when they go to teach there, they are competent to go and teach the skills that they've learned, first of all, in college. But those who were not taught in the first place because of the curriculum which was not tailored to technology, those are the ones that we're now taking to, these are the 3 colleges that we established in the wake of technology. Just one thing that we demonstrated how technology is important ourselves. 2 years ago, we were recruiting 30,000 teachers. There was no human interface with them. We just programmed, and if a teacher who is applying for a job has got not 5 levels, you are left out without talking to anybody. We are also trying to say that, can we see how we can, if you like, I'm a psychologist myself, how do we see that our teachers don't lie? So if you apply in one area, and then you apply twice, it will remove you. So they were trying to say, a teacher must always be honest. So if we say apply once, just apply once. Don't apply twice. So it will do that. So all that is technology which is helping us rather than human interface. We also have, at this time, wherever we have connectivity, I can know the performance of children away, 1,000 kilometers away from the headquarters. We have that at our National Science Center. My director is there. So we have done that, except that we are not connected everywhere in our country. Once we get that, we got to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. And I think your point about the teacher, you can't just have a framework for teacher capacity building. One actually has to engage with the entire teacher education system, and the initial teacher education, or what they call pre-service education system, needs to incorporate it in their curriculum to lay the basis for teachers to also apply the skills. So a very crucial point. Thank you very much. So we're going to just do another round, quick round of questions that would be focused on looking beyond the national situation, but looking regionally in terms of how we cooperate in the SADC region. I'd like to ask Minister Grillo, looking ahead and looking at the priority areas for collaboration and partnership in the region as we are going to work together on this digital education roadmap, what would you say are the kind of investment that is needed locally and regionally and globally to enable a coordinated, well-structured partnership in the SADC region for a regional initiative of the kind that we are wanting to launch? If you could tell us about it.
Bom, efetivamente, a colaboração deve ser a palavra-chave entre os mais desenvolvidos e nós que estamos na África subsaariana, um pouco menos desenvolvido, ou, portanto, em vias de desenvolvimento. Almejamos chegar ao nível dos demais, mas não podemos nos esquecer que nós fomos um país com um grande conflito armado, que provocou destruições muito grandes, não apenas nas infraestruturas, mas principalmente no tecido humano. Hoje nós temos um número bastante grande de pessoas com deficiência e que devem merecer toda a nossa atenção. Temos também, como eu disse, precariedade em termos de distribuição, quer de energia elétrica, como, sobretudo, de conectividade. A nível da SADC, que nós pertencemos a essa região, o que podemos fazer juntos? Eu acredito que sim, que é possível fazermos investimentos conjuntos e juntos buscarmos parceiros de financiamento para programas que nos possam ajudar a desenvolver mais rapidamente a digitalização das nossas escolas. O ponto seria termos um programa conjunto entre os países da SADC para podermos desenvolver as nossas infraestruturas de modo coordenado, tal como existe a coordenação a nível do governo dos países da SADC, também a nível da educação, termos um programa de desenvolvimento conjunto, para não só ultrapassarmos a questão das infraestruturas e da conectividade, mas principalmente vencermos a questão da formação dos professores. Aí, eu sou da opinião que devíamos ter um programa para definirmos um quadro de qualificação, de competência para os nossos professores em matéria de educação digital. Teríamos, então, a nível da SADC, um quadro para a educação básica, sobretudo educação secundária também, e podermos juntos caminhar para que ninguém fique para trás. Sei que estamos em níveis de desenvolvimento diferentes, uns com experiências já bastante avançadas em matéria de digitalização da educação, outros um pouco mais atrasados, mas com esse programa conjunto podemos ir nos auxiliando uns aos outros e podermos chegar juntos ao mesmo fim que pretendemos, que é a modernização dos nossos sistemas educativos, é a inovação pedagógica e assim podermos dar a oportunidade a toda a nossa população, crianças e não só, porque a formação é ao longo de toda a vida, e, portanto, darmos a oportunidade que todos aprendam e sejam incluídos, independentemente das suas capacidades intelectuais ou físicas. Portanto, eu acredito que juntos podemos sim caminhar com programas bem definidos, quer a nível das infraestruturas, quer a nível da formação dos professores e, sobretudo, por que não buscar financiamentos conjuntos para que isso possa ser desenvolvido. Tal como Madagascar tem o apoio para a alimentação escolar, nós também temos esse desafio da alimentação escolar, porque temos uma população jovem bastante alta. A nossa taxa de natalidade é a maior da África, é subsaariana, sobretudo. E, portanto, são muitas crianças e muitos jovens que temos, e os níveis de pobreza ainda são grandes também entre nós. E, por isso, precisamos do apoio da alimentação escolar para que as crianças não abandonem precocemente a escola. A digitalização pode ser um meio para fazer chegar isso, mas a alimentação complementará certamente este desafio que nos propomos assumir. O protocolo que assinamos ontem aqui com os Emirados Árabes Unidos é o começo, eventualmente, de uma mudança que nós esperamos seja positiva. Obrigada por essa oportunidade.
Sure. Thank you very much, Excellency. And I think the good news is that a regional digital education initiative is also guided by the fact that the SADC region has a regional digital transformation strategy. And as far as the teachers are concerned, we've just recently adopted a SADC ICT competency framework for the region, which would also serve as a guide for a regional kind of initiative. So thank you for raising that. So, Minister Ngipondoka, I'm aware that in Namibia we've also explored several creative, low-cost possibilities for access to digital infrastructure and last-mile connectivity. So I wondered if you could tell us a little bit more about the way you have looked at this and what suggestions you would make for a regional initiative that could explore low-cost solutions and challenge the notion that investment in digital education needs to be expensive and unaffordable. So we want to challenge that notion and explore alternative low-cost possibilities. If you could tell us a little bit more about how you're thinking about those.
Yes, Namibia is a geographically large country with a very small population, which up to the last census we were at 2.5 only, but the country is really, really big. And in every corner of the country, you find people scattered, sparsely populated. You find schools, and you have to provide all the services that you plan for the whole country, for everybody living in that country. And this brings us to the issue of costliness of digital infrastructures when it comes to equipping our schools, connecting our schools, providing enough bandwidth to our schools, the issue of data to our schools. It's really expensive. And whenever you introduce an initiative, every service provider comes like, this is government. There must be money. And the way people charge it scares you off. And you might not really reach what you want to reach. That's why Namibia really has been exploring in consultation with all our telecommunication service providers for us to ensure that at least we approach this venture in ways of low-cost ways. Lucky enough, we are a sunny country, yeah, although we get sporadic rains here and there, but we have got abundance of sunlight. That's why one main solution for us is to look into sustainable energy sources like the solar panels, the solar power, and also look into other measures like using mostly radios and TVs in order to reach whoever we are able to reach. But otherwise, whatever is happening in Namibia is really to pull together all the stakeholders, the private sector to join government in order for us to sketch out ways of providing telecommunication services, including internet and everything that we need in order to digitalize our schools. We are working together as a team in the country. So we work on like solar energy and infrastructure sharing, and also we are looking at community network solutions, and especially also drawing on our own indigenous knowledge of providing power and all these things. So a lot is happening. As I said, we concentrated more at the beginning on providing and deploying ICT equipments and what, but now really we are thinking more into working more. As we know, we are having this strategy to be launched soon, digital strategy. And I believe with this agreement that we signed, and we really want to thank the United Arab Emirates and the digital schools and World Food Programme for bringing us together as countries in SADC. Definitely, of course, we will be learning from each other's. We are at different developmental levels, and I believe as a team and our sponsors, both technically and financially, we should be able to come up with a lot of low-cost, service provision towards the digitalization of our schools.
Thank you, Minister. I think your reference to community networks, we've got some excellent examples in the Southern African region of low-cost community networks in deep rural parts of the region. So I'm very pleased that you've raised that example, and also this idea of partnering with all the network service providers. We've got excellent examples of how we were able to foster collaboration amongst competitors in the name of public good education systems. So thank you for raising those examples. Dr. Rabapa, if you could just tell us a little bit more about, we had a very successful high-level meeting in Cape Town in November last year, where we talked about the importance of not just doing digital education in a way that is faith-based and worked on the hype, but that we have to be evidence-based and evidence-informed. And so if you could tell us a little bit more of examples and the way we can, in fact, ensure that we have evidence-informed strategies in the region when we engage with designing digital education possibilities in countries like Lesotho, but also in the SADC region.
Some few remarks on what you have said. Normally, when you venture into digital education, that should be preceded by some research and study to map the places where you would have a maximum impact, because you cannot provide it to every region and every school. The maximum impact is quite important, and that means you have to map. In Lesotho now, we have mapped all centers where we have a potential to have digital schools, in terms of population, in terms of business activity, in terms of other activities that would be accommodated within that particular center. So the issue of data and analysis before you start is quite important. And the next thing that one has to do, when you get either assistance from development partners or even from government, the level of assistance should always be output-based. That means it should go in stages. Once you have achieved a certain level of project, then other funds should come. It should not come in one go, because once it comes in one go, you will see that there will be some wastage, accountability drops off. But if it goes in stages, you always have to do things well, account, and then you move to the next level. So it's the issue of having data before, issues of accountability, and also issues of doing audits on time, so that you still can get other funds. I think those are the few comments that I wanted to make.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency. I'm afraid that we are seriously out of time, so I'm going to have to ask for the very kind indulgence of the Excellencies that we have to stop here. I'm getting signals from all of the organizers, and we also do want to have some discussion around the digital education roadmap for Southern Africa. So allow me then at this point to thank the Excellencies for some really important messages about the critical challenges we are facing in the region and the kind of strategies that we are engaging in that are evidence-informed, that draws on the extensive history and wealth of experience of the region as well. Please join me in thanking all of the honourable ministers and give them a round of applause.